Esther Shimazu is a Hawaii-based artist of Japanese ancestry, currently working in Kailua, Oahu. Her artistic career has spanned over 4 decades, in which she has established herself as one of Hawaii's most reputable artists. She received a Master's of Fine Arts and Bachelor of Fine Arts degree from the University of Massachusetts, Amherst, and has since been the recipient of multiple honors and awards, such as the Wallace Alexander Gerbode Foundation Purchase Award and an Individual Artist Fellowship Award from the Hawaii State Foundation on Culture and the Arts. Her work can be found in countless private and public collections across the U.S. and abroad. She is represented by the John Natsalis Gallery in Davis, California, and Studio 7 Fine Arts in Holualoa, Hawaii, among others. Esther, thank you for joining me today here in Studio 7.
Lovely.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming in, making the trip from Oahu to talk with us. That leads me into my first question about being an artist in Hawaii. There's so many talented artists in Hawaii for many, many decades. You, among a few others, have made a name for yourselves, I should say, in the mainland art world. How did you bridge that gap? How did you make a name for yourself in a place that's thousands of miles away? And what advice would you give to people trying to do the same thing?
Make work that sells, basically. So I think I have a fairly distinctive way of working, and then I continued to make it and produce it and be in local shows, and I was at least, out and about until somebody stumbled across me. John Natsalis. He happened to be in town. I think he was installing a piece on the Big Island in Kona for one of his collectors, and he came over to Oahu just to vacation, and we met each other through mutual friends, Kay Mora, and he liked what he saw, and then he just said, "Hi, I could represent you," and I didn't even know what he was talking about. He had to kind of, smack me around.
Convince you a little bit.
Yeah, because at the time I had a full-time federal civil service job in the Fort Shafter craft shop as their ceramics, high-fire ceramics and jewelry instructor. And it's like, are you stupid? I'm never getting a job like this again. It took him, I think it took him something like 4 years to talk me into quitting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And over that 4 years, were you selling with him through that, and you could see it was going to be worthwhile?
I am really bad. I am totally one of those people that just likes to stay home. I didn't travel. I didn't go anywhere much. He kept trying, I'll give you a show. He gave me a show. He paid for my flight up, and I stayed in his house. And I even met his parents and his girlfriend and everything. Deal. Yeah, because I don't want to come. It's too far.
It sounds like he really believed in you and your work.
Well, yeah. So he and I we are simpatico as far as our taste and what we like. And so on the other hand, that means he always he doesn't let me get away with stuff either. So
he's your best critic.
Yeah, it's awful. No, but we always agree pretty much.
Well, you said that he and you have a similar style. How would you describe that style?
No, our taste in art. Yeah. No, but he's we're both crazy in our own ways. We're I don't know. It's tough, but in the end, we always all of the basic ideas and all of that. Those are all in line. Personal style is completely bonkers, but no. So I've known him now since 1992.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm stuck with him, and he's stuck with me, and I've told him he has to outlive me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a commitment. Well, he has to keep selling your work.
Yeah. Oh, I spent all day yesterday packing artwork to send.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So when he asks me to do something, I try to accommodate.
I don't blame you. Well,
Yeah.
sort of thinking about your representation, you've been represented by Studio 7 here for quite some time. According to the website, Studio 7 was the first and longest in operation fine arts gallery in Hawaii. How did you
Really?
establish? Yeah, I was surprised too, but it's amazing. We're in a historic place.
Good word.
How did you establish a relationship with the Manoas here in this space?
Good question. I don't know. I think somebody just invited me to do a workshop here. And that's how I finally got the heck out of my house and off island.
Baby steps.
Yeah, I travel because people are crazy enough to invite me. And I'm so happy because I'm pretty, chicken about it. So it's really nice when, oh, goody, you're paying me to show up. And you're going to meet me at the airport and even feed me.
Give you a place to stay.
Yeah, no, so what we were talking about doing public speaking and things, oh God, it was really bad.
Did you feel like you just got shoved into the limelight?
Kind of. I'm not, well, that's what they always say about artists, that we're mostly introverted little weirdos that just want to be left alone, but people keep trying to hunt us down.
That's
And,
true.
oh.
It's a dilemma, it really is.
Well, so I'm happy that I'm a studio artist and not a performing artist, because I would have been dead by now.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Live action.
Yeah, no, not out of the question.
So you studied in Massachusetts.
Uh-huh.
Like many artists in Hawaii go away from the islands to get a degree or a broader experience. How did your time in Massachusetts affect your art practice?
Well, it was 6,000 miles away, so I don't know why, but I was always interested in figurative art. And so to me, the pinnacle of that would be the human figure. And then I had no time for hair or clothes, because look at the way I dress, look at my haircut. And so I wanted to make nudes. And it was just this fixation. I don't know where that came from the time I was a kid. I have all these weird, these just follow my nose or something. And so it was really good to be that far away from everybody who knew me, so I could go do that.
You could be your own person without
Sort of, because Japanese girl, I just.
some cultural stigma around
Oh
that?
no, just you're supposed to behave and do what your parents tell you and be nice and all that stuff, and that doesn't match with what I wanted to do. It's still a work in progress. It's finally I feel like I'm getting somewhere, but still, so it was so hard to find, to just be me and find out what I wanted, because that was not the emphasis growing up. It's not what you want, it's what's good for everybody.
Sure.
Yeah.
Did you find a mentor in school that was a figurative artist that you could
No.
shadow? Just made your own way? How did you learn how to
when
do it?
I went to UH for 2.5 years, and at the time it was, everybody was into like Mingei pottery and, Hamada and Volkas, or else, the abstract expressionist stuff. And then you go to Massachusetts and it's even worse. They're just really, let's make it, art shouldn't be nice. It shouldn't be fun.
Serious art.
Yeah.
Well, your work
Non-functional.
involves a lot of humor.
Yeah.
That's intentional?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a defense mechanism, I know it. So pretty much I was always just off in a corner doing my own thing. And the nicest thing that anyone did for me was when my main professor at UMass just said, you're fine, just keep doing what you're doing, pat me on the head, and yeah, your work is good. You could actually do something with this. And it's like, what? So that, I never heard that. And so that made a huge difference to me. I mean, I thought his work was goofy, but he was a great potter. And, just knowing how to handle clay, just being around other people. But yeah, basically I was off in a corner. And I had that fixation that that's what I wanted to do. And slowly I felt safe enough to do it over there.
Well, it sounds like they believed in you for sure.
Somewhat. I don't know. It's always, you know.
Or they're maybe just confused. Who's making these figurative things over there?
I'm not sure.
Well, while you were learning your process, did you ever have like an aha moment that propelled your work into any certain direction?
Yeah. That same professor used to show us slides every week. And he tried to expose us to stuff from all over the world. And one of the slides was a broken, oh darn it. You know those, the Xi'an tomb horses and figures. He showed us some broken ones, a slide, and you saw the interior of perfectly uniform coils stacked up. And so it was built exactly like a pot. And I went, oh. That's great, awesome. You know, because from the time you're a little kid and your first ceramics class is pinch pots and coil pots, and it's all pots. And so and I started from kindergarten. I just thought clay was the best thing ever. And I took little after-school classes and everything and my electives, and I just loved clay. And, you know, it was my refuge from my crazy family. There was a bunch of us running amok, and so that was my corner and mine. And so I just loved clay. So it was all pots, you know, all the way through high school and even into college. And so to get the pottery methodology and all that I'd learned about, you know, shrinkage and, you know, firing and everything works best with pots. And so to apply that to sculpture, ooh, good idea.
So when you saw that tomb figure was actually a pot system.
Shaped like a horse.
How about that?
And then you learn how to make, well, you know, you have to take wheel throwing, which I was never that good at, but the functional ware that you do, usually the be-all and end-all was the teapot, which is made in separate parts, and then you let them firm up, you trim them, and then you fit them together. And that was also why not do that applying it to the figure? Separate body parts, let them firm up, stick them together, you can fit them, you can get really uptight about it and very precise. So I've been pretty much doing that now for all this time. That was sometime in, I don't know, junior year, sophomore year.
So you found your process pretty early on.
Yeah, there. And it's never, well, you know, it's changed a little. And now I'm starting to forget things. So.
That'd be good. Forget some old bad habits or something.
Yeah. Well, so I have to keep doing it, otherwise, I'd lose track. But I can look at pieces that I've made, even from a few years ago, and there's still evolution, there's still change, thank God. And I hope I'm getting better, but not sure.
You're pretty self-critical with your work?
You have to be, yeah. And that's the thing that's the other thing about artists, you know, they're kind of, they're very critical, but on the other hand, they have to be vulnerable, they have to expose themselves, they have to put forth what they think is good for other people to look at and judge. It's like, that could make you nuts.
I could imagine so.
Yeah.
It's a lot of pressure inwards, you know, from yourself and then coming from other people, getting it from all angles.
And if you don't take into, you know, get critical, you won't get better. But if you take it too hard, it'll kill you. So there are all of these contradictions.
How did you balance all of that pressure?
Just ignore people.
Ignore people. That's going to be the quote from the video.
Kind of, just pretend or something, I don't know. They compare artists to psychotics.
Maybe making is our therapy.
Well, but then I think because I really like clay that much and I was just fascinated by the process and all of that, all of those things, that was great distraction. So it was a problem-solving thing. How can I this is the image I have in my mind, how can I bring it to its best, fruition? So, all of that, that was so absorbing. I didn't care, and then by the time I'm finished, I spent all this time, I should do something with this. And then if somebody wants to give me money for this, great.
Wow. Well, when you're sitting down to make work, do you design your work on paper first, or you sort of free flow with your process?
Those are the best ones. I should do that. The best ones start with a really strong idea or notion that just, can take a hold of me. And then if, the clearer it is in my head, the better. It's very hard to cut out all the distraction in your life. And so that's the other thing about, on the one hand, being around other people and going out and exposing myself is where the ideas come from. And then you have to get away from all of that and cut yourself off so that you can focus hard enough to make it. The tighter, the stronger your focus, the better it is. Because I know I start making things and I can feel it slipping away sometimes, The best ones sometimes are just, they're made in this huge burst of not paying attention, forgetting to eat, stuff like that. But that's rare.
When you're working like that, how long can you go? Like days, weeks, months?
Usually what happens is the best pieces come from when I have to do a whole body of work. Like there's a show and it has a certain pattern. The first ones are a little rocky that I start picking up momentum, and then usually the second or third ones to the last are the best. And then the last one is like, I'm tired. So out of, people always ask, how many pieces do you make? And I don't know, it varies, but there's usually just a handful every year, or maybe even 2 or 3 that I really, really like. And, John and I go, okay, we have to keep track of that one for when I'm dead and they want to do the retrospective.
See who buys that. Write that down.
But the trouble, the one thing that's bad, that both of us are a little disorganized. Rats.
Well, what can you do?
Yeah. So as long as I get to keep making stuff, that's good.
So when you're working, you work with the human form a lot, and we're also making objects and art, and there's this, I think, underlying, maybe pervasive notion of beauty within all of that. Do you consider beauty when you're making your art? And what would your version of beauty be? I mean, it's probably subjective.
Well, yeah, of course, but balance and all of those things, and a lot of the expression, the gesture, the surface, the color,
formal elements.
Yeah, all of that. Again, the whole clay thing. It's always clay. I've had some pieces that have been cast into bronze, and it just isn't the same.
Loses some of that.
It does.
Life. Yeah.
I don't know. I do like textiles, but no, they rot. They get eaten by bugs. Sure. Yeah. That's the other thing. I really like the durability of it.
I think in Hawaii that's even more important.
Oh my God.
Everything's
Hawaii,
rotting all of the time.
All the time.
Clay doesn't get affected. It's great.
Nope.
So do you ever finish your pieces with non-ceramic materials? Are you a purist? It has to be fire?
Clay chauvinist pig. I always get into these little tiffs with some of my friends who paint. That'll just flake off, man.
Right.
Yeah, but on the other hand, it looks great. But the only time other stuff comes in is when something breaks. It has to be repaired. And then I just disavow knowledge. It's like, I don't see it.
Will you repair a piece if it comes in like that?
I'm not that good at it. I can't color match to save my life. But I can do the remodeling, the modeling and stuff. And then I usually hand it off to a friend of mine who can paint.
Oh, good.
Plus, that'd be a whole other thing where I'd have to buy paint.
Right. You'd have to do epoxy and all of that.
Yeah.
Sounds...
No, I'm a 3D person.
Yeah. Formalist with form.
Yeah, so it's all of these just, obsessions and things that have managed to come together, and it's worked out for me.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Well, are you obsessed with it all? Like, when I look at your work, let's wait for the truck to go by, I guess. The scale, the content, I think it would be hard not to draw connections to pop culture objects like figurines or toys or dolls.
Yeah, they've always been there.
Influenced by that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Statuary. A lot of historical stuff. Again, that guy who's showing us slides every week, you know, there would be things, you know, pre-Columbian,
Sure.
and I like the ancient stuff. Indian sculpture, that talk about gesture. You know, 8 arms, you can do a lot with that.
Right.
Buddhist statuary, the Nigerian heads, cave paintings, very basic.
They're pretty broad range of influences there.
Yeah. And how people have used the human figure throughout history.
Sure. Some of those old Venus sculptures.
Oh, I love those.
Stone Age.
Venus of Willendorf.
Yeah.
Yes. She's always in my slide
The
presentations.
Blueberry head.
Yes. Oh, tiny arms and her giant boobs.
Symbolic, I suppose. A lot of your work, we mentioned humor, but some of that humor seems to be a little bit subversive, like a subversive type of cuteness.
Well, you can't be too cute. You need, you know, salt and sweet. You need to balance it off. So, yeah, I can do cute. I can do really good cute, but it's kind of tedious. So yeah, there's got to be some teeth or something. Yeah.
Aggressive.
A little.
Yeah, not too much.
Which is funny since I'm such a coward. But, you know, I can live through my work.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, Esther, you mentioned that you had some jobs or career paths before you got into clay, and one being the dental technician. Did that pursuit influence your ceramics at all?
No.
Not at all.
Just that I don't want to do that for the rest of my life.
The third pocket go.
It was interesting. I mean, I like stuff like that. If my parents had been more on the ball and caught me, I probably would have gone into some kind of...
I'm sorry.
Oh.
That was my timer. I thought I had it on silent.
Where?
I do like natural sciences, so maybe I would have been some sort of a lab geek or something. Somewhere, you know, where I didn't have to talk to people and I'd be in the back making stuff.
Locked away.
Yeah.
In air conditioning.
When they give you those, what do you call it, those tests for your aptitudes, yeah, most of them were geeky. X-ray tech, dental tech, medical tech.
So even when you were in there scraping people's teeth?
Oh, I didn't scrape
you
nobody's
didn't- you
teeth.
didn't do
No,
that?
that's a dental hygienist. I would just be handing off tools
Did you ever
to the
make
dentist.
molds of people's crowns?
No, that's dental technician.
That's
I could have done
It's a
that.
complicated world, dentistry.
Yeah.
Well, you do make teeth in a lot of your
But you
your
know,
pieces.
you had, this is what I mean.
You
with,
didn't
you know,
have to go to school to
No,
learn
you
teeth.
just go look at your own and you know, I always say that there was one student who'd always go, but what does a hand look like? And I'm just looking at them like, you got a couple of them.
Yeah. Use what's readily available.
That's
I
what's
guess.
nice about figurative art. You always have your own model on hand. And when I teach the class, I just go, well, you know, scope each other out, man. We're in Hawaii. Nobody's wearing a lot of clothes. Go for
Go
it.
down to the beach. And
Oh yes, get some nice dark glasses. You can, oh my God.
plenty of reference
Yes.
material there.
But then you can fake it too. You know, you can just generalize off the basic pattern.
Does your cultural ancestry, being Japanese American, influence your work at all? Do you draw
I'm
anything
not sure if
from
I'm
there?
pimping it out or what. But you know, when I was in Massachusetts, there was, in the entire art department, I think there were 2.5 Asians.
2.5.
Yep. And so they didn't know what to do with me, and so I could say anything I wanted. They believed me.
That's great. Some freedom.
So yeah, you could milk it. Plus, you know, now that all my last auntie died, my parents are gone. You know, we're getting further and further away from that, and so it is kind of nice to try to hold on to it a little. It's there somewhere, you know. And like when I did go up to Massachusetts, I would say something or I would do something, and everyone would look at me funny, and I'd go, "Oh, I guess that was Japanese." Or Hawaii, you know, Hawaii based, and in isolation you see it, but So there is some, but yeah, it's getting. If we had, I think our entire generation, only one of us had kids, and there's only two, and we're on the Japanese extinction plan, but yeah, it's terrible. And then we marry out a lot, so it's fading and fading and thinning out. So I do kind of cling to it, and I've been to Japan 3 times now. And they're really different, but on the other hand, I can see some of the things, the similarities, and where some things came from, and I can remember my grandparents vaguely, but they were on Maui, we were on Oahu, and they never, because Maui had such a huge Japanese population, they never learned to speak English fluently, and we're stupid, we never spoke Japanese, except for one. We have one, I think, only one person in all of, among the cousins and everything. She's the only one who could speak and actually read Japanese. And so she went and talked to Grandma, and oh my God, all of this stuff that was pent up in that old woman.
It all came out.
Yeah, maybe it was better. But yeah, it's there.
Does the culture come out in your work at all?
Yeah,
physically?
It's great. Oh, it's terrific for imagery. I mean, superstitious bunch of crazy people, and of course they have fabulous design. Beautiful sense of design and color, and and their folk tales, their history. It's just nuts. So there's tons to, I could milk it.
Well, I guess that leads into maybe my second to last question. You've been making Gojira lately. Who or what is Gojira, and why are you making it?
Oh, because they're fun. He's a huge pop icon. And then the idea came that I'd make incense burners. So that's really fun, because my stuff is, I stopped throwing. When I was in junior year, I asked my professor, it's like, I'm never going to really get good at pottery, at wheel throwing. Can I stop now and focus on sculpture? And he said, oh, sure. Again, pat me on the head and, go do your thing, which was really nice, because I was kind of a horrible student anyway. So when I can actually make something that's even vaguely functional, it's exciting.
So the Godzilla sculpture is a sensor in a way.
It's
all the little
ventilated.
perforations
You can
smoke.
And it all comes out of its head and his nose, his mouth, his eyes. It's very creepy.
Did you know there's a new Godzilla coming out next
No.
month from Toho Studios?
Oh, all right.
Yeah, it's Godzilla -1, something like that. It looks pretty good. It's coming out
Well,
just in time.
There've been so many different iterations of Godzilla, so it gives me some deniability, because I'm not going to make anything very accurate. It's a pain in the ass to have to refer to something in work. So my sculptures, my figures, they're not, anatomically correct. I'm just winging it. I'm lazy.
It's not an official Godzilla brand action figure.
No. Yeah, so it's just sort of, it might just be a random scaly guy. Yeah.
Well, to close, if you could go back in time to when you were a young student, and give yourself any piece of advice, what would you tell yourself?
Well, remember, it's a business. Get better at keeping records. Learn how to take photographs sooner. Learn how to pack sooner. God, I still don't. Well, I pack well when I'm paying attention, but I'm still terrible at keeping records. My photography is iffy. But and have more faith in myself, I guess. I don't know. But there's nobody in my family that was doing this, and it was just something I liked to do. And being a, good little Japanese girl, I thought, I'm just going to get married, and I'll have to just go to school so I can help my kids with their homework. Really, I just did not have great direction or focus. On the other hand, maybe if I had and I got there sooner, I might have burnt out. I don't know. I didn't go full time until I was almost 40. And maybe by then I was, I'd had enough time to get my shit together. Because was a complete mess when I was a kid. But all I can say for myself is I kept trying to do better at clay because I loved it so much, and so I kept improving and stuff. But I would look around and go, yeah, I think I'm okay, but I didn't really think too much past that and think that I could do anything with it. People kept telling me I could, and I just wouldn't believe them. And I'm just
that critical of yourself.
Sort of, I don't know, or just that oblivious. But it's been, people have just kind of, reached in and slapped me and said, hey, want to teach a workshop, want to do a show, want representation.
Want somebody to take your photos for you? Or?
Oh, God, I found somebody who did house calls. God love him.
All right.
But he's retired. Shit. So take my own, they're terrible.
Well, the smartphones are pretty good these days.
They are, thank God. Oh, yeah, so I don't know. I've just been lucky, and the best thing I can say for myself is that I tried to do the best work I could, and I kept pushing it out so people could see it, put it on a pedestal, run away. But, so enough people noticed me and thought I can sell their work, that idiot's work. So, or else I can, get enough people to take this idiot's workshop.
Okay.
So, and I went along with it.
I like the fact that, keep making the work, keep putting it out there.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to notice.
And do it the best you can with no apologies. When you expect somebody else to, well, how come they're not selling my work? How come you're not making work good enough that people want to buy, dumbass?
Look inward instead of outward.
Well, would you buy that? I try to make stuff that I'd like. And I'm a critical bitch, so.
Got to edit that.
Okay.
Esther, I think that's a great place to end.
Okay.
Thank you so much for sitting down and doing this. Can't wait to see it up on the internet. We're going to spread your message far and wide.
Oh, God help us.
Get ready for all the sales. All right.